A gorgeous rustic cottage with a farm underneath it, some really great looking roof and some veranda. This is what I'm about to show you how to build. We're going to do it not quite step by step, but very close, and you are going to love it. Don't you go anywhere. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Look at this thing. How can you go away? You've got to learn how to make it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night, depending on what time you're watching this next episode from me, Avomance, and we are going to make this thing behind us. It's absolutely brilliant. It's really very simple too, but I really love the way it looks and I hope you do too. We're going to do it in a slightly different way. I'm going to do it from the third person, which means I'm going to be kind of talking over me building it whilst you watch me building it. It's not quite block for block, but you can keep pausing the video and I have no doubt that you'll be able to replicate this with no trouble whatsoever. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoy this video. I would really love to hear what you think, and also if you haven't done it yet, hit the sub button, but most importantly, keep watching this video right to the end. Let's get on with it. The first thing I had to do was clear a nice area, and it's a pretty decent sized area too, and I thought I'd start by doing something just a little bit different here. We normally start building on the ground, but I wanted to have something underneath, a little bit of lift on this particular build, and as a result I've made a nice square using some fence posts, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make those 3 high, and that's going to give me plenty of lift on this particular build, and I'm going to be able to make something that's effectively on a load of stilts that doesn't look like it's unstable because we've put plenty of these stilts there. It's going to be really pretty easy for us to build something on top. And on top of each one of these I've just put my flooring block, and I'm using dark spruce wood here. It's a nice dark colour in this particular texture pack, which is Chroma Hills, which I really like, and it kind of joins up really nicely with the oak fence posts. And now all we're going to do is we've got to make this platform complete into a one big square. Now the platform is complete, we're going to build up exactly the same way as we would if we were building on the ground. We're going to use some nice oak wood, because for me oak wood is a really good staple for building the framework of any kind of house, whether you're going to build it on the ground or whether you're going to build it on a platform or in the sky or whatever it is you're going to do. And I always build my oak pillars 4 high. That gives me plenty of height to be able to start doing cross pillars without making the building really too short. So once we've got these 4 high pillars, we're going to start to put in the walls. Now I'm not entirely sure at this moment where I'm going to put my door, so I'm building cobble wall all the way around the inside of those particular pillars, and I've now decided I'm going to slap the door right on that front corner there, so I've created myself a one open space. On top of the cobble we're going to contrast that with some wood planks. Now you could do this wood planking any type of wood planking you'd like. I've gone for a lighter colour here. It's not birch, that's actually oak, because it contrasts really nicely with the oak wood itself, leaving some gaps which we're going to put in windows. Then behind each of the pillars of wood we put a taller pillar, exactly the same height of those pillars of stone brick, because that's going to form kind of a nice foundation for each of the walls on each side. So it's going to give you a little bit of, you can see it from the inside, but it gives a bit of structure. And we're also going to augment each one of those on either side so that you can see the stone brick on either side of those wooden pillars. It just brings out that wall, it gives it a little bit of extra detail. It doesn't compromise the depth, and because of the stone brick it gives the texture that you're going to need in some of these relatively small builds. This isn't a big house, this is quite a small house. Now across all of those walls we have put some stairs. Now upside down cobble is what I've used here, so that matches up with the cobble block that we used underneath. And you can see in each of the windows we're putting a little bit of glass, and underneath that glass we're going to put another cobblestone stair, replacing the original block. Now that gives again some depth and texture for those windows, so you can see exactly that that is a window opening from a long way away. And then I fill in all those gaps with a little bit of stone. It's just for differentiation for that wall. It just gives a little bit of different colour, and I think it just makes for a nicer detail. Now, as a result of putting that extra detail in, I decided now to put in higher columns before I put the struts across. So now the struts are 5 off of the platform rather than my standard 4. And I made this decision because the house is going to be just a little bit taller than my normal builds, a little bit wider than my normal builds, so I thought it was really quite important to make sure I've got the necessary height, otherwise it's just going to look a little bit too squashed. Always come around the outside, give a little bit of width with some stairs, and I've used spruce stair here because the dark wood of the spruce matches the platform at the bottom and also matches the oak wood as well. And then we're building that up not in a straight triangle way, we're using some oak block, some spruce block, I beg your pardon, and then we're using some more step. So we've got a bit more of a staggered lift to the roof. It makes it slightly more pointy, makes it slightly more interesting, and as a result of that pointy interestingness, it doesn't look just like a triangle on top of a box. So let's get this roof finished. Now I felt at this point that the wood against the wood with more wood behind it just looked a little bit too continuous. There wasn't enough differentiation between the edges of the roof and the platform and the wood of the frame of the house. It just wasn't enough. So I've started to build up the edge framework of this particular roof using some more stairs, but we're using stone stair rather than wood stair, and it gives the different colour, the different texture, and you can see very, very clearly the kind of the outline of this particular roof. It's cobblestone that we've used, not actual stone, and using these blocks and these stairs means that we've got a great outline and some really superb texture. And this is a technique you can use in pretty much any build by edging off the roof and the other kind of bits of your building with a little bit of a different coloured material. It doesn't have to be stone, but certainly stone and wood is really in keeping with this style of building, which is why I thought I would go with that. And we've also put a stone edge and ridge right along the top of the roof, and also a stone edging around the sides of the roof, because it gives completeness. It makes sure that that roof looks pretty stable, and it makes sure that it looks structurally sound, because if you just add stone at either end, and maybe stone at either end of the top, it would look like it wasn't quite complete without that edging. Now this build is semi-planned and semi-made up as I go along, and I decided at this point that I needed the platform to come out slightly further, so as when you were walking around you could actually go all the way around, or at least down each side of this house on your veranda. Otherwise, what's the point of having that platform? And then I'm edging it off with a bit of oak fence because it's just safer. We're on a platform, for goodness sake, and you don't want to be falling to your death down into the grass below. And now we've got to create a way of getting up to the platform, and this is dead simple. I've just used a 2 wide set of steps to work my way down to ground level. I've removed some of that grassy dirt and going backwards and forwards with edging upside down for the steps on the underside, and then created a walkway, a platformed walkway with steps at the end, and it's going past outside the steps as well, and it makes for a lower level veranda as well as the upper level veranda. It just creates, again, some more substance to the house. It makes it look more realistic, like it's got just a little bit more character, and edging that round with the fence means it's in keeping with the upper level veranda as well. I've used a little bit of wood to put the ends of those fences so they're not just kind of sharp endings. I never like a fence to end in a sharp way. It doesn't look quite right, and I'll be ending the other fences on the top in a moment as well. I just think that those wood blocks make for a perfect fence end. And you can see, carry on all the way around with the fence on the platform on the upper level, and finish it off again with a block of wood. So coming back to the roof, and I don't want just a single pitch. I've decided I want a dual pitch roof, which means I'm going to have a little bit of roof coming out on the side. And to do this, I first need to decide where the pitch is going to be. And just like the end gables, I'm making these gables out of cobblestone. This is going to give, again, a bit more differentiation for the roof itself. And this gable is going to come up quite high. I want it to not come up just halfway up the roof. I actually want it to come right to the top and even slightly over that first roof pitch, because it's going to make the house look just a little more imposing from a distance, and it's also going to give a slightly different feel. If it's only a half high gable, it means that the opening into the house itself from the inside is only half as high, and it makes for a slightly strange shape of the roof on the upside of the underside of that particular house. Bear in mind, this is a little bit of a dormer style house, which means that the upper floor is within the roof space. I need to make sure there is as much roof space as I possibly can in that roof, which is why I've made, you can see here, the gable of the side part slightly higher than the pitch of the roof on the top, and then I can merge that in using a little bit more cobblestone slab to make sure it doesn't look like it's just hanging up in the air. Now, that might look a little bit odd now, but don't worry, once we've got this side done and the roof actually complete, it really merges into the rest of the building. So let's get this roof done now. So now what we've got to do is we've got to hollow out the bit of the roof that we built that is now covered up with a gable. And this couldn't be more simple. We're literally just going to mine out all of those bits of roof and create an opening that is going to become a really integral part of the interior of the building. You can see here, removing every single part and all the way up to the glowstone that we rode inside, just to give ourselves a little bit of light. And you can see, whilst it looks a little bit dark still at the moment, it is a massive space inside, and we're going to edge around just to make it a little bit neater. You can see we've still got the top end of this wood, which looks just a little bit unattractive, and I don't want that, so we're going to cover that over and all around the edge with some more wooden block, and it's just going to make for a more complete interior. Now, in creating the upper floor, or the lower ceiling, depending on what you want to really call it, we want to use a bit of wood that's going to differentiate from the rest of the house. Now, we've used spruce wood before, so we want to avoid spruce wood completely. And what we're going to do is we're going to use oak wood planks. It just works really, really beautifully. And then carrying on from there, we're going to create some oak wood steps in a gap going down from the upper level to the lower level. And we're going to make those steps in exactly the same way as we did the steps going from the top veranda to the bottom veranda, going backwards and forwards, right way up one side, then turning around and going upside down on the other side. And it's a really effective way of creating a very full set of steps, and it also means that you've got a chance to be able to edge that with more of the wood block like we have on the outside, so it looks exactly identical. Row around that with a bit of fence, because then you've got no way of falling down the hole in the steps. If you've ever had anybody fall on your head when you're on a downstairs, it's not a nice thing. So we don't want people to fall on our heads when we're on the downstairs. Edge off each gable end as well with a little bit of fencing, because we want to be able to close that off too. And then we can start to think exactly what we're going to do with those gable ends very, very shortly. We are now going to work on this side of the roof, and we're going to put a nice little chimney. I like a good chimney on a house because we've got to get some way of getting the smoke from the fireplace, which I'm actually not going to build in this house, out of the house. And I decided in this one that I was going to make a relatively simple chimney with stone brick, because that contrasts really, really nicely with that cobblestone. But just to give a little bit of extra detail, I've put halfway up the stone chimney an upside down set of stone steps, because it really makes for, it just splits up that chimney stack a little bit. And then around the top of that I've put a bit of stone fencing, because it narrows it in and makes it look as if it's been slightly finished off. I then just need to get all the way around this platform with a little bit of the light. We don't want any nasties or whatever spawning all around our house. We want to light it up as much as we can, otherwise it's just going to get exploded by a creeper, and the amount of work you put into it, you never want it exploded by a creeper. We're going to light up the inside as well, because stuff spawns inside too. And then if we go and take a look inside this house now, you can see that we're going to start to create some very basic work inside the house. So we're going to put plenty of storage, lots of chests right up one wall. That's going to allow us to store everything we possibly could in this particular house. This is somewhere that we want to live for a fair amount of time. Then we're going to kind of expand upon that storage a little bit more. We're going to create a enchanting area at the back of this house, just up there. You can see where that cobblestone wall is. We're going to put some books or bookcases all around the area to create plenty of enchantment space, and in the middle of that book area we're going to slap our enchanting table, and that is going to be fully functioning. It's going to give maximum enchantment capability right up to level 30. We don't mess about. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it properly. Then on the other side of the steps we've got a really small area, so in there we are going to put a really nice little potion brewing area. So one block with a potion stand on top of that, and we're going to create a little infinite water source just to the side of that, using a 3 long piece of a 3 long gap. Put water on either end of that, and that gives us a really nice infinite water source to be able to brew all of our potions and have a little bit of storage on top. So we stick a nice double bed with a little kind of bedside table on each side of the bed there, using a crafting table. Because it's edged underneath the edge of the roof, we can't use a chest because it won't actually open, it'd be pointless. And now we're looking at how we're going to fill up these gable ends, and I thought, let's get loads of light in here. So we're using glass panes, some stained glass panes. I'm using light grey stained glass here, not panes, sorry, blocks, because it gives some really nice transparency to that roof end, and it also means we're going to have floods and floods and floods of light coming into the top part of this house, which is going to be really excellent during the daytime. And because of the lighting that we put inside, it's also going to have plenty of light in the night time as well. And we're going to carry this on at both ends of the house, so we're going to kind of duplicate it across. Not only are we going to have it at one end, we're going to have it at the other end, and we're also going to stick it in the side as well, because I'm all for having some kind of symmetry in my builds, all for having a little bit of looking the same from one end as it does from the other end. So in this big open gable end, it's going to let in a huge amount of light by covering up with lots and lots of glass blocks too. Really easy to do, making sure you fill it up as far as you can. Sometimes you get a little step that means you can't put a block in, but that's all right because it's going to get covered up by the outside anyway. And I think that's a really effective way of creating a huge panoramic view from the inside, and also huge amounts of light from the outside as well, which is absolutely superb. Now we want to make the veranda look a little bit more interesting, so we're going to create some trees, little bushy trees, using wood blocks and 2 sets of leaves, and then we're going to hang just a few vines, not too many vines, around the outside, because too many vines it'd look like it was completely overgrown. We want it just to look a little bit more rustic and a little bit more rural, and those vines give a little bit of extra texture to be able to just make it look like it's been there for a little while. And then we're going to continue those trees onto the lower veranda, because that means you get a continuous movement from one level to another. And then we're going to stick a gate in, because we want to be able to access the underneath of this area. The underneath of the area is really, really important, because this is how we are going to farm our food. We are going to till absolutely all of that underground space and make a nice big growing field under that house. Now it's not going to have a lot of light unless we light it up, so we're going to light it up in just a minute. And we also need to put some water down, so we're going to put some random water blocks kind of around the field in kind of spaces 4 or 5 apart, to make sure that that earth is really, really well hydrated. And we've done that just by putting a hole every 4 or 5 blocks. And then we're going to put over the hole, we're going to put a half slab. I don't want to put a full slab because I quite like the way that the water looks. I think it adds to some of the feel and some of the aesthetic of the build itself, rather than hiding the water out. You can, if you want to, put a block over these water blocks, and that will hide it completely away, but you'll still get the hydration effect of the water, which is brilliant. But I quite like seeing it. I don't know, in the comments down below, do you like to see the water blocks in the field, or would you rather just hide them and let them do their job really, really quietly? So you can see we're coming in to the underside, and it's a nice big square field. We're lighting up now with some torches, and this is going to give the necessary light we need to make sure those crops grow beautifully inside. Now you can put whatever crops you want inside here. I'm going to put wheat in because I find that being able to make bread and other wheat products is the best idea. I just find that wheat is a really nice crop to grow, and it's always going to be my first choice. So then we just need to finish off the underside here by building a nice fence that's going to go all the way around this farm, because we don't want things to come in and munch our well-grown crops. We've worked hard to make this house. We've worked really hard to make this farm. So we don't want things to come in and nick it. And we're going to put the odd gate in so as we can access it from a number of different sides. But I think what's important is that we've completely separated this farm from the outside area, and that works really, really well. So let's get this thing planted up. We're going to put lots and lots of wheat seeds in here, and I think that is going to be a really great little field. Let's finish it off by putting a little bit of storage and a little bit of crafting capability underneath there so we can make bread and bake bread. And I think that is a job really, really well done. We've created a really nice house that we would be proud to live in. Just get a little bit more light around the outside of that lower veranda, maybe a little seating area down in that bit right there that gives us somewhere to sit and enjoy the sun as we look out across that really gorgeous landscape that we've built our house on. I would be very happy to live here. I don't know about you. What do you think? Do you think this is a nice house to live in? Let me know in the comments below. It would be great to hear from you. You know what? I think this came out all right. It looks pretty good from the top and from the bottom. I like the way the chimney has worked out. The roof looks pretty good. Maybe it's a little bit big, but I don't care. And I think this veranda area looks absolutely brilliant. I'll be really interested to see what you guys can make of this, because I bet you can make it even better. Don't forget to tweet me your pics at Avomance on Twitter, and it would be great to see you. Hit that like button and maybe some comments down below. Don't forget to hit my sub button as well. It would be great to see you in my sub club and my notification squad, and I'll look forward to seeing you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye.